cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, cognitive dissonance is what the whole country, this whole entire republic is filled with cognitive dissonance, meaning if you hear something that you've never heard before or is in opposition to something you've always believed, your mind cannot be wrapped around that information. You just don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it because it doesn't have anything to do with what you believe, and you have your own truth, and so you don't want to look at the facts. You can't even deal with it. So your
like
brain
the fact
goes
that we
into
told
reverse.
everybody there was mercury in there, and the government said there's no mercury in the shots, and now that they've had to admit, okay, it brand damaged tens of millions, and it is in there.
Yeah, I know. It's and like I said, just
but
go
the
on my website.
The slaves were told that it was not in there, so they will default to the old lie and say, I don't care if the government admits it now. I love it. Yeah,
I know. Another word in the box of words to research, Congress. We talk about the Congress. The people have no idea in the world what the word Congress really means.
Tell them what it means.
Yeah. If you go to any good dictionary, Congress is sex. You have two words, to caress and then Congress.
And you have the upper and lower house with the goddess and the male phallus coming together.
That's right. The Washington Monument is a male erection, and it connects directly to the ovaries or the Oval Office. And that's why you have the Congress, because you've got the male phallic Washington Monument connecting to the oval or ovaries or Oval Office.
Basically, we have a sun guidance / sex cult running things.
Well, that's the bottom line.
And they love killing people.
I know.
I want to talk about the enjoyment.
The
enjoyment of slaughtering. Like you or I would feel bad murdering masses of people, especially children. They are very pious and say it's a very beautiful, loving thing.
Well, I mean, that one general said it was, on my website, I got that quote in the box of quotes. There's a picture of the general and testify where he said, one of the top generals in the Middle East said, for American generals, said, yeah, it's sometimes fun to kill people. We kind of like it. It's kind of fun shooting people. It's kind of like a game. See how many you can take down before lunch. So it's kind of fun to kill people.
But then if you were going after his family, he'd take it real serious.
Oh, no, that's different because now you are a terrorist. I mean, I just don't know what to think about the whole world I live in anymore because it has gone crazy.
What was the Inquisition? I mean, there were so many Inquisitions.
Yeah, there's so many. But basically, the Pope today, Ratzinger, was the head, before he became Pope, was the head of that organization in the Vatican that we call the Inquisition.
Yeah, that upkeeps, quote, the doctrine, that keeps the continuity of the church together.
Yes, and what it was during the Middle Ages, we call it the Dark Ages, because the human race were going through things which were very dark, and that's why we call it that time as the Dark Ages, because we were really going through some
Now, why were they trying to
stuff.
suppress all scientific knowledge? We knew they'd hoarded it all and knew the truth. Why did they want to? And now they want to, the Club of Rome, the Bilderberg, they say again, they want 10% of us to be basically living on farms, everybody else exterminated, and then they'll be in high-tech citadels, bases separately from us.
Well, I know, but that's exactly right. But the Inquisition was an extraordinarily important time in human history in Europe, when anyone who would even act like you're going to, that you are for liberty and justice and freedom of thought, freedom of religion, freedom to think, you were hunted down by the Vatican, brought in, and we know the stuff that went on. The Vatican priests would pour hot lead into children's faces in front of the parents. They would open the children's mouth and pour hot lead into them.
Now, we see that being repeated. Now, psychologically, they know when they do the White House memos ordering the Joint Chiefs of Staff to tell them to torture children with pliers, rip their genitals off, and then the public hears that and accepts it and says, oh, yeah, that's Jack Bauer. That's a great journey of evil, isn't it? If they can get us to accept the most evil thing, torturing children sexually, then they've got us, don't they, Jordan?
Oh, they've got the whole human race. They've got the entire human race. Go to any good law book. Here's one on my law and the words to research. Look up the word human being. A human being, according to this particular law book, says a human being is an animal, a monster. Then you look up the word monster, and it will tell you a monster is a human being. It has no rights to anything. It's just an animal.
So it's all a big joke to them that they've changed all the terms. You don't know what it means. Office of Controlled Conflict Operations.
Yeah, and when you read Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, we've known for, I mean, I grew up as a kid knowing, I had New York Times, my dad showed it to me many years ago, and the New York Times had a huge article about Mein Kampf. It was written by a Jesuit priest. It was written by a Father Steppel. It's Staempfle. Go on my website and look up Father Steppel, and it will tell you all of the information there about who actually wrote Mein Kampf. It was a Jesuit priest at the Vatican wrote Mein Kampf for Adolf Hitler. And so, I'm just amazed at how much people don't read. That's what my website is all about. Just go on my website and wander through all of the boxes, all of the links, all of the esoteric research boxes, a lot of stuff there.
Okay, Jordan, we were going to take calls. We're not going to because I want to just spend every minute covering issues with you here. People want Jordan Maxwell on the show. You've got him twice in 1 week. We appreciate him. JordanMaxwell.com. We'll talk behind the scenes for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers right now. For everybody else, we'll be right back. But now the elite don't even need us to till their fields or run their machinery with robotics. As Bill Joy, Sun Microsystems, wrote and said he went to a meeting with 200-plus elitists, and he was shocked to hear them talking about how we're all going to have to be killed. And the police officers out there, most of them will aid the system incrementally, as the rest of us are euthanized, sterilized, given cancer, die. They will watch as their sons, daughters, mothers, brothers die. They themselves will die, thanking their Lord, thanking their government, thanking their master. That is the New World Order slave grid. At the highest levels of the New World Order, Jordan, I've heard it described as the Great White Brotherhood, the Council of 13. We know there's less than 100 really true initiates that have the full picture of their master plan. But as best you can tell, who are a few of the top initiates to the most secret elite group? What's the name of that group? And will they be able to carry out their plans?
Well, look at all. The only way I can answer that is that, first of all, I'm not privy to be on the inside to know the top people are. But I've had enough experience when I got married. The person my wife was working for, I learned a lot because I found out that so many of the people who are the real movers and shakers who are making things happen, you will never know their names ever. You will never hear their names ever. And that all the people that you are hearing, like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all those people, are not the real players. The real players are so much more powerful and so much more hidden. You will never know who they really are. They cannot afford to have their name or their face ever put out in public. So I learned that a long time ago.
Well, we know as far as dynasties go, I mean, you've got the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, the British. You've got the Rockefellers and Rothschilds certainly sit on large piles of the wealth.
Of course they do.
But I mean, you're saying the true technocrats, though, that are really running the ship.
Yeah, are people you will never know who they are. You will never see their names. You will never hear their names spoken ever. And those are the people who are really running the planet behind the scenes. And like a classic example is the Vatican. But the Vatican isn't the bottom line on this subject. There are powers behind the Vatican. There's just as there was behind the Caesars of Rome. Caesars of Rome saw themselves as gods. But in point of fact, they had masters of their own. And
well, you've always got the inner councils and the orders and the bankers for it. What's the real power behind the Vatican throne?
Well, that was during the time of the Roman Empire, behind the Caesars, the Rothschilds and the Rockefeller types behind the Caesars of Rome was called the Pisos family, P-I-C-O-S, Pisos family.
So the black nobility of today.
Yeah, the black nobility of the Pisos family. And the Pisos the father was Arius Copernicus Pisos. They were the real manipulators of the Roman Empire, along with their family and dynasty.